Hello, hello. My name is Shanley Rose, and I am going to be giving you 5 modern models of family therapy. These models consist of structural family therapy, strategic family therapy, MRI brief family therapy, satire, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. Family therapy, and the Bowen family systems. Structural family therapy is a model used by therapists in order to map the structure of the families. For instance, who is the hierarchy of the family? Like who's in charge? Who does the rest of the family go to for structure, for assistance, for help? What are the boundaries of that family? And what are the subsystems? After assessing the family, the therapist can then aim to restructure the family dynamics in order to create a more functional family unit, which will allow them to understand that as the family grows and as the family progresses, so must too the family structure. Families grow, kids grow, kids move out of the home, everything changes. So the structure of the family must change too. Strategic family therapy is another model that proposes that families are living systems that are led by their own individual principles and values that include homeostasis, the way they control certain behaviors, how they correct certain behaviors, and the ability to identify when the family system is in trouble, and how that family, can correct it when something happens to the family. This is similar to the brief, which I'm going to talk about next. The brief family therapy. Therapists introduce small, brief, yet meaningful alterations that allow the family to recognize their family structure. Due to the quick changes made within the family, the model was one of the original brief therapies. Sorry. MRI. The MRI brief family therapy, which I talked about in the last model. The brief-based therapy approach spends a minimum amount of time discussing one's problems, and more time moving clients towards enacting on solutions, which I really like that. I like how that approach is. I don't know what I just did to my computer. Solution-based therapists work with clients what did I do? Work with clients to help them be more productive and more visual when it comes to the solutions they envision. Once the clients have their goals in mind, the therapist will then start implementing small steps towards fulfilling the client's goals. Again, I like how they do that because, you could sit here and talk about what you want and talk about what you want session after session after session. But, after the first session, you kind of want to start seeing a change. So I like how they start doing it like right off the bat. Like, let's just work on it. The difference in these therapeutic models is that solutions are not offered, but instead the therapists collaborate with the clients to develop solid plans that they can begin to implement as soon as possible in their lives rather than just discussing, which is what I just said, and then later coming up with a plan. The satire family therapy is a model that focuses on fostering individual growth within the family, as well as improving the way the family interacts with one another. The first woman in this particular field and the therapist who invented this approach wanted to implement warmth and enthusiasm within the session, which I think that's very important, especially for the therapist-client relationship, and to build positivity, which is what the text says. Her techniques are still used today and consist of exercises like family sculpting, metaphors, coaching, and assistance to facilitate change. When it comes to this model, I really didn't find any other. This was the only like positive therapy model that I found, which I really liked also. I like the whole positive therapy approach. The Bowen Family Systems approach requires therapists to take a broader look at the characteristics of humans. This model reminds me of the first one, which was the structural approach, because of the extensive study of the family by the therapist. Sorry, I'm like struggling here. I'm giving birth in about 6 weeks, so my whole system is okay. So the structural approach mentioned first. This one kind of reminds me of that one because the therapist kind of takes a step back and looks at the family as a whole. And so this broader perspective allows the therapist to step back and take a good look at their client's issues and then come up with a plan to assist the change. Therapists can involve their clients in this process by teaching them to become more aware of their current behaviors and how they affect the family dynamics. The therapists use what is called differentiation, which is the ability to distinguish yourself from others, and how to manage one's interpersonal anxiety. I like that one too. When it comes to the feminist critique, I think the feminist critique is utilized in order to take an inner look at therapeutic approaches through the eyes of, I guess you could call it equality, or I guess being unbiased, towards each individual family, because everybody's different. Feminist scholars critique models such as these because they don't want the systems to view families as a closed system, which minimizes the impact of culture on families and how culture affects and, how they relate to one another. Culture is big. I used to work at an Italian restaurant, and the way that they communicate with one another and the hierarchy, completely different than how we do things over here. Completely different. It's amazing. But I think it's important to take into account cultural and societal differences rather than treating every family alike.